on this very important topic, Gandhiji's assassination, unanswered questions. Over to Dr. Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. It's a great pleasure to have our colleague, the T.G. Mohandas. He originally started off as a Sangha Swayam Sevak, and then he ran a printing press, and then later on, with the permission of the RSS, I got him recruited into our Janata Party as the Kerala state president. And in a very short time, he became very famous. He was on all televisions, and there was an enormous amount of jealousies. When Janata Party merged with BJP, he became the intellectual units or intellectual organization of BJP's chairman. And now he is giving his full time to our Virat Hindustan Sangam in Kerala. And he writes, he speaks, he is very often on TV. The communists dislike him because of his ability to argue. So welcome to our friend here, and Mr. Mohandas is going to give us his research findings, sitting in the archives, the archives of Government of India, which has a huge building in Janpath in Delhi. I have myself been with him to see how much work he has done. I also helped myself to some of the documents to read and come to some conclusion. Now, what I am going to do just now is going to give you a maybe 10-minute background, and then Mohandas can answer these questions which I'm going to raise, and then thereafter our panelists who are present here, they can also engage with him. The first thing I want to say is that on 30th January, when Gandhiji was assassinated by whom, in my opinion, is itself a question. But Godse fired on him. And how many bullets did he fire? These are some things which still need to be finalized. But we are not on that. Gandhiji was assassinated. He died subsequently. He didn't immediately die. But anyway, I'm come to that in a minute. He died according to all those who were present there, at about 5:10, 10 minutes past 5. Normally, Gandhiji used to come dot on time at 5 o'clock. But this time, very distraught Sardar Patel, who wanted to resign from the government because he couldn't stand what Jawaharlal Nehru was doing with Kashmir and so many Tibet and so many other issues. But Gandhiji persuaded him to hang on, and he said Gandhiji is supposed to have said that, at least his private secretary Pyarilal in his book has said, that Gandhiji wanted to dissolve Congress party and break it into two parties, one led by Sardar Patel, one other led by Jawaharlal Nehru. And this is what he may have discussed with Sardar Patel. But anyway, Gandhiji then got up, and as usual, he went from the Birla House building to across the lawn to a specially constructed prayer platform meant for his pravachans. And as usual, he accompanied. He was accompanied by two of his relatives distantly. In the case of Manu, who had married a Gandhi, and then Abha, who was a Bengali, but she also ultimately had married a Gandhi. I mean, the real Gandhi, that is. And and they, with both his hands on one on each shoulder, he walked along, and he was confronted by Godse, and Godse, his supporters, shot him. Now, these are not disputed. These are all without dispute. Now, Gandhiji fell down, and so did Manu and Abha. Also, they fell down. But Abha was dexterous enough to take put the Gandhiji's head in a position where he could be more comfortable. He was bleeding profusely, and but he was alive. And then they carried him. 3-4 minutes after the shooting, they carried him to, not these two, but the crowd participated, and Gandhiji was carried back to the Birla House building, and there in Gandhiji's room, he was put on the floor. And Gandhiji was still conscious, and he asked for a glass of water too, and he was alive all through till 5:40. He goes to the to the prayer ground or prayer sthal at 5:10, reaches there at 5:10, and he is back carried at 5:40. And so these half an hour he was alive. Now there will be a question which I will ask our Mohandas, that why they didn't take him to the hospital. There was no sign of either Mountbatten or Jawaharlal Nehru at that time. And Patel had just left meeting Gandhi, and then perhaps those days didn't have cell phone, then he was probably not immediately contactable. But nevertheless, Gandhiji supposed to have died at 5:45, and that is what the FIR, which I've got a copy of from, thanks to Mohandas. We got it from the archives, and that shows the exact time. It says right at the top, the hour of occurrence is 31/1948 at 5:45 p.m. So the first question about this, nobody has answered. Why he was not taken to hospital? There is a hospital which is today called Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital. It is, in those days, with almost zero traffic. It would have taken exactly 5 to 7 minutes to reach from where Gandhi, what was called Albuquerque Road, now called 30 January Marg in Delhi, and from the Birla House, if you had driven, it would have taken 5 to 7 minutes, but nobody thought of doing it. After he was taken to the Birla House, some telephone calls were made to what was called Willingdon Hospital in those days, and now Lohia Hospital, and nobody picked up the phone. That's what is recorded. So now the first question has not been answered. Nobody has answered why he was not taken to an hospital right away, especially when he was alive. The second question that arises is that this should have been immediately after the police was informed. And it was informed by whom? Not by the policeman present in the prayer ground, by the Tughlaq Road police station, which is about 2 furlongs far away. And somebody from the crowd, by the name Nandalal Mehta, he went to the police station in Tughlaq Road, and there he registered the FIR. So the FIR is registered by him. And who is this Nandalal Mehta? He is the part owner of a hotel, not a very fancy hotel, ordinary hotel in Connaught Place. It's called the Marina Hotel. And why is that important for me to tell you Marina Hotel? Because that Marina Hotel is where Godse and his collaborators stayed before coming to the prayer ground to assassinate Mahatma Gandhi. It's a very, very strange coincidence. Nobody is able to understand. So now, having told you this, that no autopsy, and even there is a dispute even today and Mohandas will be able to throw light on that. The number of shots that were fired on Gandhi. If I'm not wrong, Mohandas can correct me. In his deposition, or his what is called 313 statement of Godse, he said his recollection was that he fired two shots. Two shots must seem more likely, because when he's firing in such close range, Gandhi would have fallen down. So that would have been the end of the Godse firing, but doesn't matter. The FIR register says three bullets were fired, and a large number of people who were present there, like the Guardian of England, Guardian newspapers correspondent. He says it is the four shots we heard. Others also who were present there, they also said it'll be there were four shots. But this question never came up in the trial. Was there three shots or four shots? As far as Godse's pistol is concerned, the pistol disappeared. It was an Italian pistol, not available for sale in India. But the British soldiers in Italy, after conquering Italy with the help of the Americans, they had taken this as souvenirs. So some British soldier gave it to somebody else, who then gave it to Godse. So anyway, that is there were very well-known journalists like Vincent Sheehan, who did tremendous coverage of World War II. He also says four. And number of, I think, if I'm not wrong, one of the Indian papers, probably the Hindu, also said four. So it doesn't matter, three, four, whatever. But the important thing is that not one single bullet hit his heart. So Gandhiji died by bleeding, and not by direct shooting. So one or two more points, then I'll ask him quickly some questions. Um, Godse had tried to kill Gandhi along with Madanlal Pawar on 20th of January. And that was a fiasco, because the idea at that time was they will have an explosion and the crowds will run helter-skelter. And at that time, somebody will throw a bomb on Gandhiji. But the man who was supposed to throw the hand grenade or a bomb or whatever on Gandhiji, he got a chicken and he did not throw. So they were all caught. Every one of them was caught. And Godse was taken into custody, but then released. And Morarji Desai was the home minister in Bombay. Godse had gone to Bombay. So he asked the center that, here Mr. Godse is hanging around here, moving from here there. Shall I take him into custody? And center advised him, this is on record, and Morarji himself confirmed this to me, that he was told, no need. Let him be there. Let him move around so that we can follow him around, etc. But these orders came from Mountbatten. So now the police did not file the FIR, even though the police was present in big numbers in the prayer ground. It was filed by the Tughlaq Road police station on the FIR given by the owner of a hotel where Godse was staying. Now, the SHO, the FIR which I've got here, it gives a complete description of all this, and then which is not material just now. It's a material if we ever rake this up in a issue. But the police answers, the police notes in the FIR. Having received the information, the policeman, the SHO says, I rushed to the Birla house to find the dead body in room number 3. Met Nandalal Mehta, his statement recorded, got it confirmed out to him. Copy of the statement handed over to him. Came to know that the assassin was whisked away by the ASI of the police station. It was a case of 302, All the case papers were sent to the police station, Tughlaq Road, and I got engaged conducting investigation. Separate. Now, one more. Now, let me ask you the questions. And sorry. Um, First question, Mr. Mohandas, is why is it, and is it true? And if it's true, why is it that Manu and Abha, direct eyewitness, why were they not made as witness and deposed in the trial? Have you ever heard of this? Here is a murder taking place, and two people are directly looking at the assassin, and they are not put for deposition in the trial. Nowhere Manu was put on trial, nowhere Abha was put in trial. Why? Is this not a great lapse under criminal law? Now, the second thing is, second question is, have you in your research come out to find out why Gandhi was not taken to hospital? Why was he let to die lying down? Perhaps he got a glass of water, that's about all. Why is it that nobody thought that this is the right time to just take them to the hospital? Third question is, Godse would have escaped but for a junior official young junior official of the United States Embassy. His name was Herbert Reiner, and his account and the U.S. Embassy telegram to the State Department are still classified. The Americans have not released it. How many years have gone by? 65 years. They still not, and no attempt has been made by the government of India to obtain those reports, saying, please, give it to us, and so on. Now, nor was this a young vice consul, his position was called to the trial to depose. How did he catch Godse? How many shots were fired? He also immediately, some places has said he heard 4 shots. And make him depose. No such thing was done. Did Manu write a book? Write a book which was published by her in 1962. Where is that book? Manu and Abha, of course, can't be alive still. There must be, there will be over 100 if they were alive today. It's already 65 years. They were 30s, in their 30s at that time. So the question becomes that why is it that we have not been able to get her book? And so do you think, therefore, we must reopen this matter? We can't bring people who are dead back, and nor we are saying that Godse can be excused. Godse was a premeditated murder. The question is why he was not arrested on the 20th. It was the orders of Mountbatten. Did Mountbatten have an axe to grind? Was there a 4th bullet? And that bullet was filed by the special unit of taking orders from Mountbatten, which he had set up, and some expert guy shot Gandhi, which punctured his lungs or his stomach, whatever. So all these unanswered questions have not been touched. There was a Kapoor commission, but commission just went. They didn't get into any of these questions, and they have not answered any of these questions. And in my opinion, one of the things that was worrying the British is that Gandhiji began talking about making one more effort to unify India and Pakistan. Number 2, he had decided to dissolve the Congress party and make two parties, one led by Sardar Patel and another by Jawaharlal Nehru, which would have been definitely overwhelming majority would have been with Sardar Patel. He would have become prime minister. So there are a number of issues, and then Jawaharlal Nehru was complicit on Subhash Chandra Bose being assassinated in Russia, and the British were collaborators in that. So therefore, a number of things, and of course, Edwin R. Mountbatten had very tremendous control over Jawaharlal Nehru. So many things where the British would have definitely felt that we can't afford a irate, angry Mahatma Gandhi to continue, and Sardar Patel to become prime minister, and so many other. The motives are there. I mean, these are to be investigated, and therefore this should be examined. So, Mohandas, over to you. 30 minutes for you, and then questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this privilege of speaking on the most sensational criminal case probably in the world. Because this case is resurfacing again and again and again. Because of so many simple questions were left unanswered at that time. It's true that Mahatma Gandhi was alive after being shot by Godse, because Godse shot him approximately at the right shoulder, just below the shoulder bone. They caused some intercostal area. And other two bullets went through the right side of his stomach. And two bullets pierced his stomach and came out from the backside. The first one was trapped inside this cavity where your collarbone starts. Now, how many bullets were fired? We would never know, because there was no postmortem at all. There was an inquest done by a police officer in which he said there are 3 bullet marks, which was corroborated by next morning by another Dr. Taneja from nearby government hospital. He examined the body of Gandhi. That is how it is written. He examined the body. It's not a postmortem, not even an inquest, just examination. And he became the witness on which the trial court depended. He said these bullets can be harmful to life. Now, why he was not taken to hospital is a big question. Before that, how much time he was alive after Godse fired it? I will write 2 or 3 sentences reported by the Guardian newspaper on 31st January morning, in which Guardian reports that the man who gave his name as Nathuram fired a 4th shot, apparently in an effort to kill himself. But a Royal Indian Air Force sergeant standing alongside jolted his arm and wrenched the pistol away. The sergeant wanted to shoot the man, but was stopped by the police. An infuriated crowd fell upon the man and beat him up with sticks, etc. So this is reported by the Guardian, and the Guardian had their reporter there. In fact, all the whole newspaper paraphernalia was always with Gandhi. And now what happened after firing? Gandhi smiled at him and, according to one version, spoke to him. The man then whipped out a pistol from inside his pocket and fired 3 times at point blank range. The bullet lodged in Gandhi's chest, stomach and groin. He raised his hands above his head in the salutation as he fell. He was carried into Birla House and died half an hour later at about 5:40. He was carried to Birla House and he succumbed to his injuries half an hour later at about 5:40. And as far as I know, the Wellington Hospital, which is presently the Ramanohar Lohiya Hospital, was very near to Birla House, maybe 3.5 kilometers. Anybody's knee-jerk action would have been to take this man to a hospital. Anybody does that. In a fit of panic, everybody, chalo, chalo, hospital, chalo. This would have been the cry. But nobody demanded that Gandhi should be taken to hospital. And this question was entirely answered by Manu in front of Kapoor Commission.
Yeah.
Manu deposed in Kapoor Commission. Manu said, I am sorry, it was as if everyone was waiting for Gandhi to die, either to die or get killed. Everybody was fed up of Gandhi. At least for 3 weeks, the atmosphere in Birla House, we spoke in hushed tones as if some calamity is going to happen. And that was Gandhi's death. Even Gandhi started speaking about death. My time is over. Nobody listens to me. I am back number now. See, the atmosphere in Delhi at that time was dominantly against Gandhi. When he was fasting, so that he could force the government to pay 55 crores to Pakistan, in which Sardar Patel is reported to have shouted that this old man is blackmailing us. It was surcharged atmosphere. And the next day, this Apte and Godse sitting in Pune, they decided to kill Gandhi. But at that time, the atmosphere was so surcharged against Gandhi that there were processions against Gandhi. Gandhi ko marne do, hum ko makan do. This was the slogan raised by refugees. Marta hai to marne do, khoon ke badla khoon se lenge. Pyarelal started closing the window. Gandhi said, Pyarelal, band mat karo. Bolne do unko main sunna chahta hu. That was the state of mind of Gandhi at that time. He was practically alone. He was alone in Naukhali when Nehru was celebrating independence in midnight. Some sort of foolish thing he spoke that when the whole world is sleeping, India is waking up, as if nobody knows about the time zones in the world. World never sleeps fully. But Nehru's speech, Tryst with Destiny, is being celebrated even today. Where was Gandhi on that day? Far away in Naukhali, fighting his own single man fight for Hindus. Naukhali, under the command of the Suravardi, there was cruel killing of Hindus happening. In Bihar, it was reversed. But Gandhi didn't go to Bihar. He went straight away to Naukhali. And he was in deep sleep at 12 o'clock on August 14th night, when Nehru was making his epoch-making speech. Gandhi was sleeping. That was the status of Gandhi. Nobody was caring him. I have seen a drama in Kerala, which was in 1975, by the name The Supreme Court, in which the dramatist is reenacting or a retrial of Godse in Supreme Court with facts and imagination, in which Godse argues that Gandhiji, I made you a Mahatma, because in India, if you want appreciation from people, for people to appreciate you, you have to die first. Till that time, nobody will appreciate you. See what a dig at the Indian insecurity. That dramatist, he was N.N. Pillai, was a great actor. He was camping in Kanimara Library in Madras for 2 years, and he wrote a book on how to write drama, etc. A great man. But he knew the Indian psyche. He said through Godse to Gandhi that I killed you so that people can appreciate you, because you were reduced to zero by that time. And Gandhi, the actor Gandhi, raises and says that Godse is correct. I admire him because he killed me. Otherwise, I would have been torn into pieces by these Congress people. Nobody listened to me at that time. And when he came back to Delhi, the situation was reversed. There was slogan that Gandhi ko marne do. So Manu said, we were all waiting for, I don't know what happened to us, as if in a trance, we were all waiting for Gandhi to die. And when the shots fired, no option came to our mind except waiting for the death of Gandhi. This was her honest confession before Kapoor Commission. She definitely wrote a book. I didn't get the copy of that book. But Kapoor Commission, what said finally was that it seems that Manu is having some lapse of memory, because Manu made another startling disclosure that Godse visited Gandhi on 30th January noon just to touch his feet and offer prayers. He came around 11:30, 12 o'clock. Gandhi was sleeping on a charpai in front of Birla House. It was too cold. So he was sleeping. He used to take a noon nap. It was Gandhi's habit. He was sleeping. Several people came, touched his feet and went. Godse also came, touched his feet and went. And within 4 or 5 hours, when I saw this man, I could instantaneously remember this is the man who came to Birla House around 12 o'clock. I could recognize him. Now, sir, you understand why Manu was not examined in the court? Because she would have turned hostile. Abha would have turned hostile. The case would have collapsed, or they would have will have to conduct a much more comprehensive search. In so many other things would have come out. I'll tell you one more fact. 3 people who were supposed to, who were apprehended initially, but they escaped. They gave the revolver to Godse. But they have been recorded absconding till the end of the case. Even today, they are not traceable. They were found in Gwalior. Gwalior is not far away from Delhi. And Indian police till date could not catch them. Their names are available, their features are available, everything is available. Godse opened his mind. Godse never hid anything. Godse only wanted that others should not be implicated in this case. There was no conspiracy. I was alone, which was untrue. See, there were 3 gangs working: Godse and Apte, Karkare and Madanlal Pakwa, Digambar Badge and his servant Shankar Kistaya. These 3 gangs were working, in which Digambar Badge became approver. And Badge made the case, and police substituted, tutored, corroborated evidences were collected, corroborating people were made prosecution witness. That is how the case stood up on its false legs. I am not holding a brief for Godse. Even Godse will not like that, because he argued even in High Court that I am guilty, I am guilty. But he did say that. The first question from the special judge was, Mr. Godse, did you fire at Gandhi 3 shots at approximately 5 o'clock on 30th January 1948? Godse said, I'm confused. I came to fire 2 shots. I was determined to fire 2 shots. He repeats that. I was determined to fire 2 shots. But then now I understand that I fired 3. Anyway, that doesn't matter for me, because I am accepting. I fired. उसके बाद अभी 2 है या 3 है, क्या बात? This is what Godse says. After that, there is no mention about how many bullets have been fired. No mention either in lower court or in Punjab High Court. Nobody cared for this. Even after newspapers reporting 3, 4, Apte said, I heard 3 or 4 shots. Karkare said, I heard 3 or 4 shots. So many people said 3 or 4, 3 or 4, 3 or 4. But nothing was taken care of, because it was some sort of fate accompli. Everyone was waiting for the death of Gandhi. अब महाराज मर गए हैं और आदमी को पकड़ लिया है, बस हो गया ना, अब क्या है? Why do you want to acquire unnecessarily? Even Justice Kapoor Commission was instituted. Very funny thing. G.V. Kedkar made a speech while giving reception to Gopal Godse and Madanlal Pakwa and Karkare in Pune. I don't know why these people were released. Sir, you see, all these three were Madanlal Pakwa, Karkare and Gopal Godse were sentenced for deportation. Deportation means they should have been sent to Andaman. They were not sent. They were kept here. And life sentence means till your death you have to be in jail. Whatever concession you are getting is under the remission power of Governor or President of India.
That's right.
You cannot just say that I have completed 10 years or 14 years, just open the door, let me go out. It is not possible. It is under remission powers. Why deportation was converted into life imprisonment, and who gave them remission so that they were released after 18 years, especially Gopal Godse. I think Madanlal was released earlier because he was a small boy, etc. Some concession was given to him. But Gopal Godse, why he was released earlier, and why a reception was organized in Pune, in which G.V. Kedkar is the grandson of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. In his speech, he said that I knew it 6 months ahead. Godse told me that I am going to kill Gandhi in the near future. I immediately gave the information to one Kanitkar, who spoke to B.G. Kher, who was the Chief Minister of Bombay Province. But B.G. Kher was, by the time, he was no more. So this fact could not have been verified. In between Kapoor Commission, this G.V. Kedkar also died. So it kept hanging. Now, even today, it is surprising that, Godse went up to Supreme Court of India in 1961. And it was a constitution bench which examined this case, whether deportation can be...
1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Gopal Godse. Because people...
Yes, Gopal Godse. Gopal Godse.
Not Nathuram.
Gopal Godse. Not Nathuram Godse. Gopal Godse from jail went up to Supreme Court. He failed in Bombay High Court. He went to Supreme Court in appeal. And Supreme Court constitutional bench sat for Gopal Godse for examining whether deportation can be treated as life imprisonment and whether remission as claimed by him can be given. And they said no. Justice Subbarao wrote the judgment. 5 judges were there. They denied this facility to Gopal Godse, but within another 3 years, Gopal Godse was given remission and he came out and created so many headaches later on by giving so many interviews and other things. This is something which is bewildering me. And the Morarji thing is also, there is small chronological change I want to make. See, there was Professor Jain in Mumbai. He was a renowned professor of linguistics. He wrote several books. He appointed this Madanlal Pakwa as on commission basis to sell his books. Pakwa was doing it, and Madanlal one day told him that we will do something drastic on Mahatma Gandhi. We means myself and Karkare. Jain didn't take it seriously. Jain said, the boy, you see, try to live properly, don't think of other nonsense, etc. But when the attempt was made on January 20th, Professor Jain wanted to speak to Sardar Patel. If Jain is sincere and sensible, he would have gone to the next police station and informed them that such a thing was there. I knew this. He didn't do that. He tried for Sardar Patel. He could not speak to Sardar Patel. And he tried meeting B.G. Kher. B.G. Kher gave him an appointment because he is an eminent professor. But by the time this professor reached and started speaking, B.G. Kher became busy. Then he said, you please go and meet Morarji Desai, my home minister. He met Morarji Desai. Morarji Desai gave a patient hearing to him. And only demand was, Professor Jain's demand was, don't tell anybody my name, so that Morarji said, okay, I will not say your name. Morarji immediately informed it to Nagarwala, the Mumbai CID chief. Nagarwala, after hearing this, Karkare's name, and connecting it to, and this Madanlal said one more thing. There are two more people involved. One editor from Pune. That also is said. Now, editor from Pune is Godse. There are very few papers, and intelligence have every information. But Nagarwala was Nathuram Godse. Yeah. Nathuram Godse was editor of that Hindu Rashtra newspaper, which was running fairly well. Now, Nagarwala, in his mind, he was harboring some hate towards Savarkar. Even after all this case, after retirement, Nagarwala, while speaking to the journalist Manohar Mulgaonkar, who wrote a book, The Men Who Killed Gandhi, in which Mulgaonkar records that Nagarwala told him, come what may, till my death, I will believe that Savarkar is behind this murder. This was what Nagarwala said. So, Nagarwala was up to, by hook or crook, he wanted to implicate Savarkar. And government of India also supported that. Why I am saying this? Savarkar was acquitted by lower court. 10 days ahead of the acquittal, the judgment is yet to come. 10 days ahead of that, Home Secretary writes to Commissioner of Punjab saying that the Gandhi murder case trial is over and the judgment is awaited any time from now. The government reasonably understand that Savarkar will be acquitted. Please ensure that no reception is given to him. No celebration is allowed near or ever in the jail. This is written. It is there in archives. I have a copy with me. What a disgusting thing to do. And Savarkar came out of jail. Probably he might have caught some tonga, go to railway station. Nobody know how he went back to Savarkar Southern and then to Pune. He went back as an unsung hero. Throughout his Savarkar's life, his eyes brimmed with tears only once. That was not in Andaman or anywhere. That was when he was arrested for the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. His eyes were brimming with tears. That, okay, Gandhi was in another track, Savarkar was in another track. But they never harbored any hate to each other, so that Savarkar orders or conspires to kill Gandhi. This was an emotional moment for him. And we, the ungrateful Indians, arrested Savarkar, humiliated him by again putting in jail. And finally, the court and the prosecution tried every method to implicate him, but nothing, no material, nothing was there. They had to acquit him. And after that, Kapoor Commission making another finding that somehow the role of Savarkar cannot be ruled out. Kapoor Commission wrote this in 1969, 3 years after the death of Savarkar. Savarkar didn't die. He opted for death. That was the real fast for 21 days and he left for heavenly abode. And after 3 years, Kapoor Commission says that he cannot be, he is having some role, it seems. This is the way we treated our heroes. Even today, we treat our heroes like this. This type of mystery is there around Lal Bahadur Shastri's death, Dindayal Upadhyay's death. Our country is full of, Subhash Chandra Bose. Even today, there is no conclusive evidence to show that he died this way or that way. Still, it is under suspicion. What an ungrateful people. That is why when Godse's retrial happened in a Malayalam drama, Godse said, Gandhi, I killed you, therefore you become Mahatma. Otherwise, you would have been reduced to nothing. We are ungrateful towards our heroes. And see, nothing wrong. Mahatma Gandhi was such a great figure. Congress organization ignored him, but he started directly communicating to the people. That was his power. So Congress, I will not make any wild allegation. It seems that Congress was also waiting for his death, or Congress took a attitude that, "Arey bhai, hone do, budhe ko jane do," because on 20th January when he was attacked, he survived it, nothing happened to him. But by evening, it was somebody told him that Madanlal was behind that. Madanlal is caught. Then he said, don't trouble him physically. I know how you police behave. उसको बर्बाद मत करो बच्चे को. लड़के हैं, जानते नहीं हैं. जब मैं मर जाऊंगा ना, तब पता चलेगा कि बुढ़ा ठीक कह रहा था. And this was the attitude of Gandhi at that time. And it was the attitude of, according to Manu, this was the attitude of everybody. बूढ़े को मरने दो, बहुत हो गया अभी. गांधी को भी लगा कि चलो अब जाएंगे, बहुत हो गया. This was the atmosphere which have ultimately led to not taking him to hospital. Otherwise, I don't find any legal or plausible reason, any human reason, because any human being would have lifted him and rushed to a hospital, even if there is no vehicle. That is your inner self will work there. But that was, even that mercy was not shown to Gandhi. And you are right, sir. He died out of bleeding, not out of course, bleeding was due to the bullets pumped in his body. And we would never know how many bullets were fired unless we inspect his chadar, which is still intact in his memorial. His clothes are there, how many holes are there, how many cartridges still are there in his chadar, because one cartridge was found in night, 8 o'clock by Manu. He gave it to the police. That was the inquest done by police. They didn't even know that a cartridge is there in the chadar. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. All was eyewash. They want to close the case. And one more thing, sir. Apte, in his statement, he says that Nagarwala and other police officers asked me about some British conspiracy or Russian conspiracy, etc. I said, I don't know anything. Sir, have you ever noticed any British or Russian conspiracy or connection in this case? With this, I hope I'll close.
Yeah. On your last point, I have with me from the British authorities, friendly authorities, not officially given, informally, but documented, of a dispatch by the ambassador of Britain in Moscow. And at that time, the person who was the ambassador of India in Moscow was Vijayalakshmi Pandit. And he, the British ambassador, is telling Whitehall, that is their secretariat, foreign affairs secretariat and government secretariat, like we have here, a complex, and it is called the Whitehall because they are all white buildings there. And this Whitehall, he sent a secret dispatch, which is declassified, is available in the British Museum, and that is that he reports that Vijayalakshmi Pandit says that you people should do something, because the Russian diplomats in India are saying that Gandhiji was killed by a British conspiracy. So therefore, this British conspiracy could be there, and I would suspect that after Mountbatten came to know, I'm just making a wild guess because at the moment I don't have that kind of evidence. But then on the 20th of January, when there was a fiasco in the assassination attempt of Gandhiji by many people, including Nathuram Godse, it's possible that the Mountbatten perhaps thought of putting a marksman, and Mountbatten had a special force. It was called a special force of extremely good marksmen, and mostly British. And it's possible that the fourth bullet was indeed that of a marksman who hit closest to Gandhiji's closest to the heart, where the bleeding would be maximum. At least the veins would have been ruptured, and so that is an angle that has never been examined. Were there 4 bullets? Then where the 4th bullet came from? Because Godse shot from a pistol or a revolver called Beretta. It was an Italian-made one. I don't know if Italians have come here also in this matter also, and that was India. Nobody sold Italian revolvers, but the British soldiers who were part of the victorious team in Italy, they had taken this as a souvenir, and so obviously the people in Gwalior who helped Godse get this pistol or revolver must have got it from some British soldier and bought it off him. And it's supposed to be, in those days and that point of time, the best revolver that could be there. So this is the background of the Vijayalakshmi Pandit telling the British ambassador that the Russians are spreading the rumor that the British were responsible for the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. Any other questions?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
मोहनदास जी, मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा ताकि जो लोग अंग्रेजी नहीं समझते उनको भी जानकारी उपलब्ध हो जाए। मोहनदास जी ने बताया कि नाथूराम गोडसे जी ने अपने वक्तव्य में कहा था कि मैं 2 ही गोली चलाना चाहता था, और जहां तक मैंने पढ़ा है उसमें कहीं ये भी लिखा गया है कि तीसरी गोली इंसिडेंटली चल गई। तीसरी गोली चलाने का मेरा मंतव्य नहीं था, लेकिन तीसरी गोली चल गई। तो पहला सवाल तो जो डॉक्टर स्वामी कई वर्षों से उठाते आ रहे हैं वो है कि गोली 2 या 3 या 4, अगर 3 तो तीसरी किसकी, अगर 4 तो तीसरी और चौथी किसकी? ये बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न है। लेकिन मैं आपको एक हवाला देना चाहता हूं। दैनिक भास्कर एक अखबार है, 4 वर्ष पूर्व उन्होंने बहुत इसके ऊपर रिसर्च किया था, और उन्होंने उनका नाम भी लिया था जो मोहनदास जी जिनका जिक्र कर रहे थे ग्वालियर के, डॉक्टर दत्तात्रेय परचुरे। डॉक्टर दत्तात्रेय परचुरे ने जो पिस्तौल थी वो पिस्तौल नाथूराम गोडसे को उपलब्ध कराई थी, और उस पिस्तौल का रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर था 606824। और डॉक्टर परचुरे के पास एक और पिस्तौल थी जो उन्होंने नाथूराम गोडसे को नहीं दी थी। उस पिस्तौल का रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर था 719791। अब एक मजेदार बात जो है, कई अखबारों की, खासतौर से भास्कर की अनुसंधान में समझ में आया कि डॉक्टर परचुरे के पास जो पिस्तौल आई थी वो उदय चंद नाम के व्यक्ति ने दी थी, वो भी ग्वालियर के थे। और उदय चंद के पास उसी पिस्तौल का एक और नंबर था, यानी कि जिस पिस्तौल से गोडसे ने महात्मा गांधी को गोली मारी, नंबर 606824, इसी रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर की एक और पिस्तौल उदय चंद जी के पास थी, और ये डॉक्यूमेंट में एसपी ने लिखा हुआ है। लेकिन इसके आगे उदय चंद जी से या डॉक्टर परचुरे से इस विषय पे कोई जानकारी नहीं ली गई। ये चैप्टर बंद कर दिया गया। क्यों? ये बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है। एक और बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रिसर्च आई है चुन्नी भाई वैद्या के नाम से। चुन्नी भाई वैद्या ने एक आर्टिकल लिखा, उसमें लिखा कि 1948 30 जनवरी डॉक्टर स्वामी ने बताया 20 जनवरी को भी एक अटेम्प्ट हुआ था जिसमें गॉडसे स्वयं इन्वॉल्व थे। लेकिन 1934 1934 से 1948 तक आते आते 6 अटेम्प्ट हुए थे महात्मा गांधी के लिए। पहला अटेम्प्ट 1934 में हुआ, दूसरा जुलाई 1944 में हुआ, तीसरा सितंबर 1944 में हुआ और चौथा सितंबर 1946 में हुआ। ये सारे फेल हो गए। उसके बाद 20 जनवरी और उसके बाद 30 जनवरी। तो ये एक लंबी कहानी है और इस लंबी कहानी के पीछे क्यों कोई अनुसंधान नहीं हुआ कि इसकी बैकग्राउंड क्या थी, कौन लोग इन्वॉल्व थे। आरएसएस के लोग अरेस्ट हो गए, गोलवलकर जी को भी अरेस्ट किया गया। इनफैक्ट माय फादर वाज आल्सो टेकन इनटू कस्टडी फॉर 3 days because he was going to shakas in 1948. But that apart, I'm saying innocent RSS workers were also rounded up, but no attempt was made to find out what was happening from 1934 to 1948, how this case was built up. Mohandas ji and Dr. Swamy, can you throw some light on that?
Mohandas, this is the Mohandas show.
One thing, I'm not aware about a similarly numbered or exactly similar revolver lying with someone else. Those could all be speculations, and I did not find. See, I went through around 11,000 papers. Gandhi papers are separate in archives. Out of that, I took photocopies of around 4,000 papers, in which there are several repetitions. So ultimately around 3,500 papers are birth rate. बाकी जो सब है टिकट का कॉपी, होटल बिल का कॉपी वगैरह, वो तो मैंने छोड़ दिया because that doesn't carry any meaning now. इसमें कहीं पर भी मैंने ये ऐसा 2 सिमिलर नंबर के 2 रिवॉल्वर का किस्सा नहीं पढ़ा है। सभी केस डायरी मेरे पास में है। केस डायरी में आप देखिए, पहले केस डायरी में लिखा है गांधी गिर गए राम राम बोल के। अब आप क्या सुन रहे हैं?
हे राम बोल।
लेकिन रिकॉर्ड में वैसा नहीं है। पहले जो केस डायरी है उसमें राम राम लिखा है। एंड जो गांधी जी के सेक्रेटरी थे कल्याण, वो अभी भी his death was maybe very recently. He lived up to 99 years. He several times told ऐसा नहीं हुआ है। Several doctors say आपसे राम राम या हे राम बोला नहीं सकता when you are fired with shots. The simple sound came, that's all. It was all. But ठीक है, emotions were played. Hey Ram, bola to bola. Anyway, that is not affecting the case. But what I am telling is, so many stories will be built up around any sensational assassination. So every story is a story. We cannot go by that. Number 2, this ये जो 6 इंसिडेंट आपने बोला है, कौन किसी ने अनुसंधान नहीं किया। अनुसंधान नहीं किया, क्यों नहीं किया? ये मुद्दा आया था कपूर कमीशन। कपूर कमीशन के सामने बहुत लोगों ने आर्गुमेंट किया कि ये किस्सा चल रहा था, किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया, एवरीबडी वाज रिस्पांसिबल एटसेट्रा। लेकिन कपूर कमीशन बोलता है कि ये सब हियरसे है, कुछ नहीं हुआ है। दैट इज और माइनर हेकलिंग दिस दैट। Everyone knew that, सबको पता था कि from 44 to 48 Gandhi ji's popularity was coming down. At least number of enemies in the public was increasing. This should have been known to the government of India also, either under Mountbatten or under Jawaharlal Nehru. Again, it was under Mountbatten because they didn't know how to run the administration. They requested Mountbatten to continue. And he was the first Governor General of India. So that was the plight of our leaders, because all were agitators, irresponsible people. They don't know how to govern. And Gandhi opted out long back. I am not for any chair. He opted out also. No sensible. Only sensible man was Sardar Patel. And because of his administrative capability, he knit all these provinces together. So everybody started appreciating him. Nehru felt very bad. So Gandhi was relegated to a backseat. कोई पूछता नहीं था गांधी जी क्या कर रहे हैं, unless he makes some drastic announcement. Otherwise, he was traveling from village to village, preaching peace and ahimsa. Okay, we may not agree with some of his political decisions, but as a human being, you look at the cultural Gandhi, what a colossal figure he is. Politics is volatile. He might also have made some mistake. Every politician makes some mistake. Today or tomorrow, something may happen because it is always changing. So all these incidents were brought to the notice of all authorities. ये जो 6 आपने जो बोले थे उसमें से कम 2 प्रोमिनेंटली न्यूज़पेपर में आए भी थे टाइम, लेकिन किसी ने कदर नहीं किया, क्या करेंगे? एंड द इनवेरिएबल थिंग हैपेंड. ये हुआ. दिस इज द फैक्ट. थैंक यू.
One aspect which I think I should mention here, in my entire study, and I'd like to know whether you have done much more, and you have spent hours and hours in the National Archives. I have not seen anywhere in any of the formal papers any mention of RSS involvement. And yet this whole narrative that has been created that RSS was involved. Yes, Godse used to go to Shaka, but then he quit and he was very critical of them. And I know many congressmen who were in RSS Shaka. Basan Sathe is a minister, he was used to go to Shaka. So many people. The issue is that the tremendous effort was made somehow to involve with Savarkar, somehow to involve RSS. I have not seen any document in the entire archives, to the extent that I did research, where RSS is even mentioned as a possible suspect. What is your take on this?
Sir, not even possible suspect. The word RSS is not there in all these 11,000 papers.
That's right.
Not there.
That's right.
RSS was not a matter at all. While Hindu Mahasabha name raises again and again.
That's
In
right.
Godse's statement, Apte's statement, Karkare's statement, all these statements have to be published. In Savarkar's statement, they're all very intelligent. I appreciate the most complicated character I found in this whole story is Narayan Dattatreya Apte. He had a wife and a son, and he was in love with a Christian lady in Mumbai. He was he was in association with Nathuram in doing all these things. A really multitasking fellow. And the counter statement which he filed in the lower court is a good legal document how to fight a case. He did not bring any emotions. Savarkar brings so many emotions, his passion, everything in his statement. Godse was highly emotional. There were very few legal points in Godse's statement. But since it was Nathuram Godse, he got publicity. Apte didn't get that publicity. In fact, Apte was also hanged on that date along with the Godse. Nobody published Apte's statement. Nobody published Karkare's statement. Nobody published even Savarkar's statement. All these statements are part of history. Nowhere RSS is mentioned. But still it is being, day in and day out, it is being maligned. But in the Kapoor Commission, this question came. Because the then Home Secretary, I forgot his name, some Gupta or somebody. He was the Home Secretary when Gandhi assassination took place. He deposed before Justice Kapoor saying that had the government banned RSS, Gandhi would not have been killed. Then Commission said, okay, let us examine what would have happened if RSS was banned. And they made so many inquiries, so many depositions, everything. After Kapoor Commission said that nothing would have happened if RSS was banned, because RSS had no connection with Gandhi murder. So
right.
Whether you ban it or not, nothing would have something special would not have happened to Gandhi. This is written in Kapoor Commission, and my colleagues in RSS celebrate it too much, as if Kapoor Commission was instituted to find out whether RSS is guilty or not. It is not so. It was a passing remark by a Home Secretary, which was also examined by the Commission, and finally they dismissed it. This is the fact. Unnecessary, but every day now Rahul Gandhi is in dock for maligning RSS.
Yeah,
They take by the
yes. Now, there's another thing. You see, RSS was banned, and all the records I've seen shows how Jawaharlal Nehru kept insisting with Sardar Patel. Then, after 8-9 months, or maybe 18 months, I don't remember the exact period, the ban was unilaterally withdrawn. Nobody made a petition for it. Nobody went to court for it. Nothing. It was, and Sardar Patel writes a letter to Golwalkar saying, "I'm so happy that the ban has been lifted unconditionally, and it was a matter of great pain for me." That letter is available. I don't know why it's not been publicized, but it was clearly a strategy like in 2009, 2010, and so on. And this Hindu terror was raised. Somehow, because the RSS seems to be a big organization, and therefore the enemies of Hindutva think that the only way we can fight this Hindutva concept is to target RSS and bring it to disrepute. I think this is what comes out from what you say. And the fact that a ban was given, not a single piece of paper, no court, nothing, and this is happening.
Sir, you know the
yes.
The Congress was vengeful as ever. After Gandhi's assassination, what did they do, especially in Maharashtra?
Oh yeah,
they butchered every Chit Bhavan Brahmin.
Yes,
I know a man who lost 200 acres of ripe gehu, wheat. उसको आग लगा दिया. They were reduced to nothing. They were socially boycotted. And the same nonsense repeated against Sikhs in 1984.
Yes.
And it didn't happen in 1991 because you and Chandrasekhar were there. Otherwise, because of Rajiv Gandhi's killing, they would have attacked and butchered every Tamilian in Delhi. They would have done that.
At 4 a.m. in the morning, I was, the whole night I was awake because you had to redo I think I was with Chandrasekhar in Racecourse Road. We got a phone call that a big procession is going towards some Seema Nagar or something where the Tamils were staying in Jigi Jhompadi, and it was going to be completely burnt and everybody killed. So Chandrasekhar told me, can you look after this matter? So I called up the SHO of that area, and the constable said, "Oh, saab so rahe hain," says, "Usko jagao, otherwise tumhari nokri chali jayegi." Then he went and woke him up. The guy was fully drunk. The SHO was drunk. So then immediately I called the commander-in-chief of the Indian Army and I said, if you want to take tanks, do what you like, but go to this area and surround it with the military. That's how the massacre of Tamils did not take place in Delhi after Rajiv Gandhi's assassination. So if there's
in fact,
will...
in fact, Dr. Swamy, if you recall, even a Tamil person who was the president, R. Venkatraman, when he went to 10 Janpath on that day, fateful night, he had to return back because the Congress crowd was hostile towards him.
That's right. They said, Madrasi wapas jao. I agree.
Dr. Swamy, I have a question. Although it's a fact that the Godse bullet killed Mahatma Gandhi, but why?
Not killed, struck Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah, one of the Godse bullets must have struck Mahatma Gandhi. The mystery is, as you have been saying, which was the other bullet that could have really been the fatal bullet. The question is, who were the beneficiaries of the death of Mahatma Gandhi? Could you tell us some political light out of it, and who became stronger? There are beneficiaries. Even what Godse stood for, whom
Yes.
did he strengthen the hand? I want your views on this.
See, first of all, Gandhi died out of excess bleeding, not because any one bullet found its mark. All right, no bullet found its mark. Second is, no analysis was done whether all the bullets came from that from this guy, this Godse's revolver. In fact, the Godse's revolver, that Beretta Italian revolver, had only 7 channels.
Chambers, chamber,
Huh?
chamber.
Yeah, chambers. So when they got hold of the that pistol, that revolver, after that it disappeared. But the police has recorded it. The vacant chambers were only 3. So therefore, 2 fired at Gandhi. Gandhi fell down, and the third one, as Kapoor said in his thing, it was a misfire. But if there were 4 bullets, as everybody says, that we heard 4 bullets, and no autopsy was done, so we don't know how many bullets entered his body, then obviously, we don't know how many bullets were fired, but at least this much we know, that everybody says 4. I mean, everybody who differs says 4, and it includes international journals. It includes so many important people who said that we heard 4 shots. So where was the 4 shot from? Was it from the sharpshooters with Mountbatten? And conveniently, neither Mountbatten nor Jawaharlal Nehru came till Gandhiji was already dead. They only came after they got the message that he's dead. So now, the second question, you said who's beneficiary, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you go by beneficiary, it's clear that Sardar Patel got discredited. The blame was by word of mouth was put on them. The RSS got a huge setback, and Jawaharlal Nehru's so-called adulterated secularism ruled the roost. Sardar and then is Jawaharlal Nehru's, and Jawaharlal Nehru lasted 17 years. After that, Indira Gandhi lasted 16 years, and Rajiv Gandhi lasted 5 years. So during this period, the amount of brainwashing that has been done in the name of secularism, and that Hindutva is anti-secular and all that, that has been the real damage done to India, and those who were in power who enjoyed that.
Dr. Swamy, the real thing I also wanted to know, by killing Gandhiji, I mean, being one of the killers of Gandhiji, Nathuram Godse, for whatever reasons or whatever views he had, he killed Gandhiji, but his action led to the reverse of what he stood for. We want you to tell our viewers what was that.
See, I remember, because when Gandhiji was assassinated, I was between 6 and 7 years old. And once it became clear that the Hinduvadi or a Hindu fanatic has assassinated Gandhi, the entire atmosphere changed. And Hindutva became a dirty word. RSS was definitely banned and then pursued and so on. And then all this secular, and people were even ashamed to say, I'm a Hindu. I know that during my time in college, people used to say, I'm a Hindu, but I'm not communal. I mean, they would add the second word. In fact, the Hindu is the only one who says all religions lead to God. So Hinduism suffered heavily because, and that's why I don't forgive Godse. And people say, no, his speech was very inspiring. Nothing. What did you achieve? You achieved a setback to a cultural revolution that it could have easily come after the freedom struggle. And Gandhi, whatever you may say, whether it was a diluted Hinduism, it is diluted Hindutva, all that you can say. But he did, bring about a Bharatiya current, so to speak, in which Hindu mythology, Hindu stories, Hindu bases, Hindu arguments, they were finding a lot of, for instance, this Raghupati Rajaram, he's constantly talking about Rama and his great vision. All these were part of the revival or restoration or the renaissance of Hinduism, which all got set back because of Godse, and therefore, no matter what, how innocent Godse might have been for the direct killing of Mahatma Gandhi, he should be condemned for having picked up the gun and helping de facto Jawaharlal Nehru in this matter.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have gone.
Arvind?
Yeah.
डॉक्टर स्वामी,
Yes.
ये एक ऐसा विषय है
जी,
जिसके ऊपर रहस्य की पर्दा पड़ी हुई है,
हाँ,
और जितनी पर्दे हम निकालेंगे उतना ही रहस्य और उजागर होता जाएगा. लेकिन ये देश का दुर्भाग्य है. मैं कहूंगा इट इज अनफॉर्चुनेट फॉर द कंट्री that no one cared to investigate this matter after the assassination of Gandhi ji. और गांधी जी की हत्या के 50, 60, 70 वर्षों बाद भी ये प्रश्न अभी अगर अनुत्तरित है, if there is a unanswered question even now, then somebody should pay attention, at least those followers, those who claim to be followers of Mahatma Gandhi. I remember, Dr. Swamy, you wrote a letter to President of India.
yes.
राष्ट्रपति महोदय को आपने एक पत्र लिखा था, और उस पत्र का एक्नॉलेजमेंट भी आया था, और उसके बाद राष्ट्रपति महोदय तक ये बात पहुंचने के बाद भी इस पर कोई आगे प्रगति नहीं हुई. This shows that people are not interested in uncovering the hidden truth.
That's right.
And जगदीश जी ने जो सवाल पूछा, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल था.
मैं एक बात जोड़ता हूँ का.
जी.
मैंने पार्लियामेंट में खड़े होकर ये सारी बातें बताई, 4-5 बातें, और कहा कि इस पर दोबारा इंक्वायरी बैठाने की आवश्यकता है.
जी.
अनेक देशों, जॉन कैनेडी के लिए तो 5 बार कमीशन बैठाया गया. तो इसमें एक और बार एक कमीशन बैठाकर इस पर जो तथ्य है, कमीशन तो कभी भी बैठाया नहीं गया था, सिर्फ फटाफट इसको बंद करके इसको फांसी दे दिया, बस ये था. बट कमीशन ऑफ इंक्वायरी किसी ने अभी तक बनाया नहीं. और मैंने पार्लियामेंट खड़े होकर बोला और स्वागत हुआ उसका पार्लियामेंट में, फिर भी हमारी सरकार ने इसको माना नहीं.
जी, जगदीश जी ने जो सवाल उठाया था कि आखिर इसका बेनिफिशियरी कौन था, और जितनी भी राजनीतिक हत्याएं भारत में हुई हैं, पिछले सप्ताह हमने नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की जो रहस्यमय गाथा थी उसके बारे में चर्चा की थी. हालांकि उससे भी किसी न किसी को बेनिफिट हुआ. लाल बहादुर शास्त्री की हत्या से भी किसी न किसी को बेनिफिट हुआ. दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जी की हत्या से भी किसी न किसी को बेनिफिट हुआ. ये प्रश्न इतने बड़े प्रश्न हैं, और चाहे हम मर्यादा के अंदर रहने के कारण या किसी अन्य राजनीतिक कारण से इन प्रश्नों को नहीं उठा पाए हैं, और विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम जरूर प्रयास करेगा इस प्रकार के जितने भी रहस्यमय घटनाएं हैं उन घटनाओं से जनता को रूबरू कराया जाए, should be brought to the surface, and people should know this and naturally try to uncover officially if possible, and if not officially, maybe journalistically or maybe in other manner like investigative journalism. T.G. Mohandas ji has spent so much time in our archives and unearthed these facts, and I'm sure if the government of India takes interest, more truths can be uncovered. Thank you, Mohandas ji, for being with us. Dr. Swamy, Jagdish Shetty ji, our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Tejas, Swaminathan, Vishal Mehta, Najesh Nair, and thanks to the viewers and subscribers of this program who are watching this program. As Mr. Shetty said in the beginning, last episode crossed 1.67 lakhs viewers. The popularity of Words of Wisdom, Gyan Ganga, is going beyond the boundaries of India. It is being seen in 120, 130 countries, and the number is also swelling. Thank you very much, viewers, for being with us. Next Sunday, we'll be again with you with 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time with another topic, Dr. Subramanian Swamy and another guest. Till then, Namaskar, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Okay.